Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you guys can see, the truck is all torn to hell behind us, and you guys might be wondering, well, what's going on? So we got the whole front clip off. We took all the lights off on the driver's side, took the headlight out on the passenger side, took the boost tube as well as the fender liner out so that we can get plenty of access onto this side of the frame. And as you guys can see, like I said, yeah, the boost tube is gone. And you guys might be wondering, well, why is the truck all torn apart? And that is because of this little thing in my hand right here. And what this is the power steering cooler off a 8.1 liter Big Block 2500 HD. Now GM did sell a bolt-on cooler for the Duramaxes, but you know, those probably got discontinued a real long time ago. So you know, I think threads even up to like almost 8 years ago, and they'd already been discontinued. So I guess just not a lot of people did this mod yet. I see a lot of posting videos about this mod, so I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing. But anyway, so as you can tell with what I have in my hand, my truck does not come with a stock power steering cooler. And I've seen people complain that if you go bigger tires, bigger wheels, stuff like that, that you can actually kind of burn up the stock power steering pump. And as you guys know, I replaced that probably a few years ago. I should have a link up to that up above. And unfortunately, we actually just had the power steering open up because we did that Hydro Boost install, the 2011 and newer Hydro Boost that we installed on the truck. So I did have the system open then, but I actually did not know about this modification at that time. If I did, I would have done both of these at the same time. So basically what this is going to do, this is going to bolt to the radiator support. That is going to bolt to the transmission cooler support. And these two hoses, one will feed right into the power steering pump on the back of it. And the other one, we're actually going to have to cut the crimp. You guys see that kind of crimp? We're actually going to have to cut that crimp off the factory line that goes into the power steering box itself. And once you cut that crimp off that hose, it actually is flared. So we'll be able to put this hose clamp on that flare, and it'll be sealed up just fine. So let's go ahead and show you kind of what we got to do next. All right, guys, you'll see this hose with some light shining on it. That one right there, this top one. That is actually going to be one end of the power steering cooler that we're going to plug in. If you guys can see the hose in the middle of the screen, it's not the one toward the engine. It's actually going to be the one toward the frame that it looks like an S shape right there. That's actually the hose we're going to want to take off. We'll take that off and actually take it off the power steering reservoir because that is all one hose. We'll take that off, and then we're going to, like I said, cut that crimp off. And we'll basically be able to merge the 8.1 cooling assembly with the hose off of the Duramax assembly. So it's all kind of factory parts. It's just kind of redoing a little bit. And yeah, so we're going to fill this cavity right here with the power steering cooler off the 8.1. So we can go ahead and actually do the fitting first because I think that will be the most messy. All right, guys, if you can see that outer hose like we were talking about, I do have a 19mm wrench on there. I'm going to bust that loose, but before I did that, I actually drained the reservoir for the power steering fluid. What I used was this little syringe right here. I just, you know, sucked all of the fluid out, put it in this bucket, and we should be good. So there is probably still a little bit of fluid in there, but we got a majority of it out. That's all I really care about. And beneath the truck, we put our drip tray just so that we don't get any power steering fluid on the driveway. All right, guys, so we got that hose off without issue, and that 19mm wrench worked, man, it came right off. Now, it was tight, but it wasn't super tight. So what that tells me is I think I actually replaced this line 3 or 4 years ago when we did the power steering pump itself replacement. I remember replacing 2 of the lines. This may have been one of them. And the reason I say that is because if you look at this, that should be crimped on there. That is not. That actually is just a standard, kind of like a CV joint crimp. And yeah, so I thought we were going to have to cut this, but no. So that should come right off. We'll hook it into one of those lines down there, and we should be golden on this swap. So I thought by draining the reservoir I'd get rid of all of the power steering fluid, but no, there was a ton more in there. So just be aware to put a drip tray underneath your truck because you're gonna lose a lot of fluid. All right, guys, well, that crimp wasn't very tight at all. All I did was take a screwdriver and I stuck it in the end here, and I just went up and down like that. It loosened it up, and I was able to slide the pipe right out. Like I said, there's that flared end, and that's what we're gonna need to put the new hose on. I don't remember seeing in the instructions on what hose we should use, so you know, it might be the top one, might be the bottom one, I don't know. So let's go ahead, we'll get this cooler actually installed in the truck. We'll get this pipe put on and we'll go from there. Alright guys, you can see we got the power steering cooler in place. I didn't really mean to get this far ahead, but basically I was concerned with the clearance between the power steering lines and actually the intercooler. I'd actually seen some posts where people had issues with the lines actually running into the intercooler, but it might be the fact that I bought the GM kit with the 8.1 Big Block. That might be why I have no clearance issues. I think some people are buying the cheaper Dorman kit, and that is why it is not clearing the intercooler for the 2500. I think they're using the LS V8, you know, style, the 5.3, 4.8, whatever. I think they're using the smaller oil cooler, the power steering cooler, and I think that's why they're having issues. But the 8.1 Big Block bolted right in. So we used this secondary bolt right here. It's 10 millimeter. Took that out, put that back in. And then, speaking of LS motors, the bolt that I actually found to tighten this down is actually a LS9 coil pack bolt. So if you have a 10 millimeter LS coil pack bolt, that should be the same size and should bolt right into the transmission cooler support. So here we go. We've got the transmission cooler, the oil cooler, the AC condenser, the intercooler, and then the radiator behind it. So this cooling pack is pretty thick. Now, we've got the lines in and past the intercooler, but now we've got to go ahead and figure out what line's going to go where. And then I also need to figure out where we're going to connect the one hose from the 8.1 Big Block to the hose that we took off the Duramax power steering box. Now the hose should be the same between the two trucks, but the fact that this has an intercooler, that hard line that we took off, that might be what's different between the 8.1 and the 6.6 kits. Not that they offer the 6.6 kit anymore, but you guys know what I'm saying. So we'll get that figured out and we'll report back when we're done. All right, guys, so I actually took the longer hose that came with the 8.1 power steering cooler, and I actually put that on the power steering reservoir itself. The shorter hose, you guys aren't gonna be able to see it very well, but way down there, kind of where I'm flashing the light, way down there, you might see a line or two. That's actually where the shorter hose that has the 90 on it, I connected that to the back of the Duramax hardline power steering hose, and we got that connected. So I was actually having trouble trying to get the hose and the power steering fitting lined up in this power steering gearbox. So what I ended up doing was I actually took the hose back off the hardline. You know, I released the hose clamp, pulled that back off. I put the power steering hardline, fed it into the top of the gearbox that we're staring at. I tightened it down a little bit, then I backed it off. And then I was able to swing the shorter hose and put it back on the very end of the hardline, way down there. And I actually did that underneath the car. You guys will see that I took the dust shield off and we did it from underneath. So we took the short line, connected to the hard line from the Duramax, put that into the gearbox, tightened that down. We tightened this fitting down, and I put probably about a bottle and a half of power steering fluid into the power steering reservoir, and we should be ready to bleed it. I may not have, I actually am out of power steering fluid, so I hope it's enough to get to the store if we have to go get some, or I just go take the SS and pick some up. But yes, that is pretty much it for the power steering cooler install off the 8.1 Big Block. Alright guys, so that's pretty much going to be it for today's update on the truck. That's the 8.1 Big Block power steering cooler, pretty much bolted right in. Like I said, I just had to take that one hard line off the Duramax cooler and put that on the 8.1 cooler, and everything pretty much went right together. Like I said, I used the longer hose to go to the power steering reservoir, used the shorter hose to connect to that hard line, and that went right into the power steering box. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. If you guys want to see more truck content, Corvette content, SS content, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications. And if you guys want to help support the channel, I'll drop some links down below to, I'll give you the part number for the 8.1 later, but I might drop you a link for the LS power steering cooler, you know, depending on which one you guys want to use. Like I said, the 8.1 was a bolt-in. I believe the LS ones need a little bit of bending the line. So they are cheaper, that is one point, but you know, then you gotta mess around with lines and all that. This was pretty much plug and play except for that one hardline swap. So We'll drop you links for that, and make sure you check out our website, BonecrrusherSS.com. We do have new Duramax merchandise on there for you, and thanks, guys. Have a great one.